first episode of Greenleaf in Darronfield, a Glass Portal Studios production. I'm your host, The Muse, and today I'm going to be telling a story of youth, attraction, unease, and uncertainty as we follow Damien Chapman in his brand new home, unaware of the mysteries this tight-knit borough may bring. Chapter 1: Quiet Little Town. Sometimes I look out my window just staring for hours. It's not because the world is beautiful or because there's anything really interesting happening. I just imagine being anywhere other than where I am at that moment. Driving through the night with my friends, as if I have friends close enough to do that with. Spending the night under the stars, just anything to distract me from what's going on in my life. I looked it up online and it said that I have some sort of dissociative disorder, but you really can't put much faith into the internet these days. It's more like daydreaming. That's how I was the entire car ride. Daydreaming about what my life would be like if it wasn't wholly miserable and had some kind of support, stability, anything. I was on my way with my mom to some nowhere town somewhere in the south that I'd never even heard of. I knew it was somewhere just outside the city, but didn't care to ask for much more information. I tend to let life just pull me wherever it wants to take me, so I don't get too overwhelmed trying to handle the choices myself. It's a shame though. The life often takes breaks to let my mom take the reins. She's one of the main reasons why I avoid my reality. Don't get me wrong, I care about her a lot. She's just a difficult person to be around some of the time. Well, most of the time. All of the time, yeah. But no matter how hard I try, I can never truly block her out. There's always some faint muffle of her cold pounding voice in the back of my head, just slowly getting louder
Damien.
and louder and
Damien!
Yes? Yeah. The car swerving, my body sliding across the seat. None of that brought me back. Her voice does the trick, though. She glared at me, eyes tired and full of resentment. She clearly had something to say, but she took my notice as her chance to mutter insults and curses at me under her breath. She's the kind of person that waits until she knows you're within earshot before she talks about you. About every single issue she has with you. No shame. She's not always this unwaveringly cruel, but she does get worse when she's tired, intoxicated, or stressed. I'm hoping this one's only 2 of the 3. You could let me drive for a while. You've been going at it this entire trip, so, you could probably use some rest.
Yeah, because I want nothing more than to put my life in your hands.
Right. How stupid of me. Care about safety so much, maybe you should keep your eyes on the road. 3 guesses as to where her eyes still were.
You got a real smart mouth, you know that?
The car went silent for a few minute-like seconds. I kept my eyes glued to my lap. It's the easiest way to make sure she doesn't interpret what she assumes I'm thinking from my face alone. I peeked at her to check her level of frustration, trying to curate exactly how far I could push. I know I'm not a helpless victim of an abusive relationship, at least. I wouldn't like to think so. I feel more complicated than strangers would probably interpret me. As much as I want to keep the peace, I've gathered so much resentment over the years that rolling over without a fight genuinely kills me. It kills me. Did you need me for something?
We're almost there. I need to bring the boxes inside while I go run some errands.
What errands do you need to run?
I need to run what's my business. You should mind your own.
Okay, so I need to bring everything inside by myself?
You're 18.
17, but who's counting?
I'm sure you can handle it.
Now, listen here. At this point, me saying anything else past this would be a mistake. A very stupid mistake. A mistake that I'm just stupid enough to make and have made many times. I just don't understand why you have to be so inconsiderate. You seriously can't manage when you should go run for errands? Maybe like, I don't know, when we aren't moving a truck full of crap? And just like that, she slammed on the brakes and snapped her head towards me, giving me a look that said,
You better shut your goddamn mouth before I do it for you.
only learning what's good for me after the fact, I did. She kept on driving, and honestly, I was just grateful the festering argument fell there. She was probably too tired from the move to fight more, and yeah, I could say the same. About 45 minutes later, we finally arrived at the Greenleaf Valley Apartments in all its tall, grand glory. Judging by how the rest of the town looked while we drove in, it seemed like most of the effort put into the buildings went here. I was genuinely shocked by how beautiful it was. The other buildings in eyeshot were cute, but this was stunning. Vintage, intricate, and detailed. It obviously wasn't built with a modern eye in mind, but it was very clearly kept in good care over the years. They looked too beautiful for us to afford. What? Wait, Mom, we're staying here? I turned towards my mom, who was still in the car, looking at herself in the rearview mirror. She, looked more exhausted than ever.
No, we're sleeping on the sidewalk.
I could obviously tell she was joking, but her type of humor always seemed to fall a bit flat with me. So I just stood there, watching her slight smirk turn into a scowl.
God, how is it this late already? Unhook the truck and take everything inside. I need to go.
Wait, but
Now.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure if you realize, but this just happens to be my first time here. So, what about keys? Or, I don't know, like the freaking door number? Like, she stuck the keys out the window with a quick impatience. I didn't know where she needed to be, but she was not in the mood for any of my stupid questions like what we're doing here, or what I'm supposed to be doing here, or how I'm going to get an entire truck full of boxes into an apartment by myself.
Top floor, room 555. Unhook the truck.
Okay, and do you think you can maybe tell me what time you plan on being back?
Unhook the truck and take everything inside. I need to go.
I involuntarily complied and unhooked the truck so that she could get going, and without so much as a goodbye or an "I'll be back later," she sped around the corner, out of sight. I was so distracted by our new home that I didn't even notice how off the town looked. It seemed nice and well kept at first glance, but the longer I stared at my surroundings, everything seemed just a bit off, like the buildings were all in the wrong place. That could just be a unique planning catastrophe when the town was first built, but the placement and the look of the surrounding buildings relating to Greenleaf felt gross, if that makes any sense. It left an unfamiliar feeling in my stomach that I couldn't place my finger on. But who am I to judge architecture? I was just glad that there were actual shops nearby, including a gas station right next door to Greenleaf and a small cafe directly across the street from the gas station. While I was checking out the town, I noticed how low the sun was. It was already around 6 o'clock and the sun was gonna set soon. If I didn't have everything inside by the time my mom got back, I knew she'd be very pissed. So I gotta move on. As I moved boxes inside, I noticed all the people staring at me. It wasn't enough people to make me scared or anything. I just assumed that it was some white people in a small town noticing the new black kid moving in. Nothing too out of the ordinary, although annoying. What did stand out, however, at least to my eyes, was this tall, handsome, stereotypically attractive guy sitting at the cafe across from the gas station drinking coffee. He wore a peach-colored sweater, light blue jeans, and gray Timberland boots. He was dressed really well, and his clothes fit him great. He looked a bit older than me, maybe 19, 20? With his blonde hair lightly pushing in the breeze, all I could think was, he is beautiful. Knowing how situations like this usually work, I decided to keep my distance and continue to work. But as I entered and exited the building, I couldn't help but watch him. He was stunning and unknowingly able to steal all my attention. After about 45 minutes to an hour later, the sun was setting and I was pretty exhausted. Fortunately, there was an elevator between floors, but still, carrying and dragging a bunch of boxes to the top floor at the end of the hallway was exhausting, especially doing it by myself. I was in pretty good shape for my age, but I wasn't packing on muscle or anything. I got all the light to medium weight inside, but there was no way I was getting the rest of the boxes that night. If it wasn't for the autumn breeze flowing through the air, I would have tapped out 30 minutes ago. Even if we didn't have furniture, there was so much crap. I sat there for moments, catching my breath and regaining my strength. I didn't even notice the beautiful man walking towards me until he was standing at my feet. I looked up slowly, taking in all of his intimidating presence until we linked eyes.
Hey.
There was something about him that was just so disarming. His voice was immediately easy to take in. It took me a few seconds to catch myself and reply. Hey. The slight smirk on his face made my knees a bit weak. Under his perfectly shaped yet seemingly untouched eyebrows, his bluish green eyes pierced through me. So embarrassing.
You all good?
Yeah, I'm good. Are you? He looked at me puzzled, then down at his feet. He clearly wasn't uncomfortable because of how casually he was leaning against someone else's storage truck. But he let out the softest chuckle, then just looked at me.
I'm sorry. What I meant was, do you need help moving boxes? You've been out here for a while, and I didn't really see anyone helping you.
God, that wide smile, showing off all those stupid, perfect teeth. Despite his kind presence and his pretty face, I was kind of uncomfortable talking to him. I've never understood how people could possibly just walk up to someone they've never met and start talking. The thought of it made me feel like throwing up. My friend back home used to get so pissed at me because I always refused to talk to a waiter in order to ask for a to-go box. He'd always go get it for me. God, I miss him so much. The thought of never getting to see him again just washes over me sometimes. Never being able to sneak out, drive around talking for hours. It's just...
Hey, hello.
Huh?
I was asking if you need help.
Oh. Right.
So, would you like me to help you bring boxes in?
Well, I wouldn't want to inconvenience you. No, besides, I'm pretty much already done here, so... I tried my best to get him to realize that I didn't want his help, solely for the reason of not wanting to have to go through casual conversation with him, but it was clear that he was not getting it.
Well, I came over here of my own free will, so, if anything, I had to be inconveniencing myself without any pry push coming from you.
Oh. Well, I promise I'm okay. Before I even finished my sentence, he was already hopping in the trunk with one leap and out with two big heavy boxes in his arms. Jesus! Be careful! You can't even see!
Damn, dude, chill. I have pretty good balance.
He pushed past me and walked up the stairs and into the building. I mean, he wasn't wrong. He carried those boxes like it was nothing. It kind of made me feel bad. I grabbed one of the boxes and hauled it upstairs. By the time I got up there, he was already on his way back to the elevator.
I got it.
He grabbed my box with one arm and headed back to the apartment as I followed close behind him. Was he trying to make me feel bad? Because it was working. Wait, the guy who I just realized I don't even know the name of yet turned to me with a curious look. Oh my god. I just met this dude 3 minutes ago. How do you know what apartment we're in? I never said what floor or even what door to go to. Actually, you don't even have the keys. So he stared at me for a couple seconds like he also didn't know how he knew. And then it just popped into his head.
Oh. I just assumed that you were on the top floor, since all of the lower floors are full and no one has moved out of this building in 4 years, except Mrs. Shawshire, who sadly passed away a few months ago, and she's on this floor, in this room. So, yeah, sorry about that.
Right. No, that's fine. And the keys?
Yeah, right. I sort of have master keys because, my parents own this building. And they don't like doing their job. But they also don't want any non-family members running the place, so here I am. Yeah. And if it makes you feel better, that's also the reason why I sort of just randomly came over and started helping. Well, the main reason.
Okay. It's good to know that you're not a stalker/murderer, I guess.
Yeah.
There was an awkward silence looming in the air around us. This was genuinely killing me, more than any idle conversation could. So if you pretty much run this place for your parents, do you, live here too?
Oh, no.
The way he said that, it was kind of implying that what he wanted to say was,
oh, God, no.
And it automatically made him a tiny bit less attractive to me. Huh. Funny how that works.
Since my family kinda owns this building and, a couple more in the neighborhood, I kinda run, or at least help run a lot of the buildings in this town. I actually live right behind this one.
He grabbed my arm and pulled me to the back of the apartment and up to a large window across the hall. Outside, it revealed a steep grassy hill with concrete steps paved down it. At the bottom of the steps, a stone path led to the front door of a huge, exquisite mansion. It was bone white with a dark gray roof and luscious vines growing all along the walls and tall pillars. It was surrounded by flowers, and the building itself looked overgrown. It seemed like they wanted it to appear like it was taken over by nature. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't utterly gorgeous. Even the infinitely ongoing woods behind the mansion complemented it. Wow. I mean, that is just... wow.
I know, right? It's a bit much, but it's still home.
His smile was slight and gentle. It was endearing. He didn't seem like a rich, entitled brat. Just a regular guy that happened to be extremely rich. Those exist.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the rest of those boxes, so you just hang tight.
And just like that, he was out the door. I didn't even bother objecting. He seemed like the type who did not listen well, but at least he wasn't that much of a talker. It only took him about 20 or so minutes to get the rest of the stuff. By the time he was back from his fifth and final trip, the sun was setting. He was very sweaty, and he seemed to have lost his shirt somewhere along the way. I'd be lying if I said he wasn't a sight for sore eyes. A little part of me was sort of disappointed I didn't get to see the traditional hot guy peels off his shirt in slow motion moment. I can, however, say that I watched his muscular, perfectly sculpted figure for far longer than what could be comfortable for anyone. His back, legs, neck, arms, everything. I watched with the greatest attention possible, not even realizing what I was doing. It wasn't until his body went still and was facing my direction that I finally met his eyes, which were glaring at me questionably. The perfect, charming demeanor he had before was completely gone and replaced by something more menacing.
Are you checking me out?
It sounded like the 5 simple words that came out of his mouth were really just warning signs of my impending doom. He set down the box in his hands as the orange sunset shining through the window behind him cast a silhouette on his tall figure. My body went into a cold sweat and my mouth went dry. I tried my hardest to come up with something, anything, any type of excuse. Nothing would come out of my mouth. I was so used to how accepting and comfortable my friends back home were that I forgot a lot of people aren't like them. This is a stranger in my apartment, and we're alone. Oh God, I'm an idiot. Sorry, sometimes I just, I could feel his eyes stabbing into me. To be honest, I'm usually good at thinking on my feet, which is just a nice way of saying that I'm a pretty decent liar. But something about his switch from making me feel safe to making me feel like I'm in danger threw me off guard. I desperately reached out for any lie, but somehow I actually grabbed onto a half-truth, which might be just as good. I just, sometimes I just get jealous.
What?
His posture changed and immediately felt less domineering. Sometimes I get kind of jealous, self-conscious, really, I could tell he looked confused, but that's better than suspicious. I mean, come on, dude, look at yourself. You're practically perfect. I'm a new kid in town, and I can already tell that finding someone here is gonna be impossible when you're around. And boom, confusion turned into flattery.
Come on, man. You're shitting me.
The only thing shitty here is that grin of his. Nah, man, for real, you're straight up stud. No homo, though. I don't care if I laughed it off. That genuinely hurt coming out of my mouth.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
He was looking me up and down like he was sizing me up.
I think the girls over here would just love you.
Even if his smooth, easygoing demeanor came back, I still felt extremely uncomfortable around him. I just wanted him to hurry up and leave. Huh. Right.
Well, that seems to be everything, and it's getting late, so I'm gonna head back and let you get settled in, okay?
Yeah, awesome. You be safe. I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself.
Don't worry, I will.
Why on earth would he squeeze my shoulder? Straight guys are so annoying.
Well, see you around.
And just like that, he was gone, leaving me in my completely furnished yet empty feeling apartment. The boxes scattering the area intimidated me, and I was far too physically and emotionally exhausted to unpack anything. The day took such a turn, but I should have known that it'd happen. Everything seemed a bit too young adult romance novel to not have some type of reality check to screw up my mood. The sunset drop aesthetic this entire town gave off turned cold faster than I could handle, all because of one guy I couldn't get a grasp on. The only thing I had the energy to do was sit in the dining room chair and watch the sun go down through the big window that overlooked that guy's mansion and the thick, dark woods surrounding it. At least, until my mom came home. Just to make sure that she's okay. Or alive. I sat there for hours, to the point where my brain stopped registering the glowing moon I was staring at. For a while, I tried to go over what happened throughout the day, but everything was just a murky blur. I'm glad, honestly. I don't much like thinking about bad days. I probably would have sat there for hours longer, but the sound of distant laughter from below snapped me out of my trance. I looked below and saw a group of people heading past the mansion towards the woods. I watched as their shadows yelled, laughed, and shoved each other. It kind of made me sad. I couldn't help but wonder if one day I'll be able to find a group like that here. If I'll ever be able to sneak out in the middle of the night with my friends and just fuck around in the woods. Who knows? Maybe a new town could benefit me. I just wish my mom would tell me why we moved. Well, I know one reason. It's just everything is confusing. She's confusing. Suddenly the door busted open, making me jump for the second time today.
Jesus, fuck. Stupid fucking door.
And in came my mom, stumbling through the doorway. Wow, speak of the devil.
What did you say?
She violently chucked her bag near my general vicinity because she was too disoriented to aim at me properly. Make that the third time today. I watched her movements closely, and I could tell she was out of it. There was absolutely no point in trying to talk to her when she was like this, so I just stayed silent. I could feel her stone-cold glare as she staggered into the closest room to her. That was automatically too much for me to handle. I stood up to make sure she got here, and she did. I needed to turn in before I started to get delirious. Today was rough. Very, very rough. But as I lay in the bed of the only available room, I kept thinking to myself, tomorrow is another day, and that's enough to keep going. Good night, Dad.